gentlemen, please welcome today's guest speaker. スチールで写真撮る方、前の方出ていただけるんですが、ちょっとはっきり最初してもらっていただいてもよろしいでしょうか。はい。寄っていただいて、もう少し寄っていただけますか。よろしくね。お写真撮る方、どうぞ前の方お進みになってください。いかがでしょうか。この辺でよろしいでしょうか。お席の方お戻りになってください。ではお席になってください。では、カリンさんお願いします。はい。
Welcome to the Foreign Correspondent Club of Japan. My name is Karine Nishimura. I'm correspondent working with Radio France as well as Libération newspaper. And I'm also one of the regular member of this club and member of the PAC committee who is organizing a press conference. Today, press conference is about a problem that probably you already know because it's not a new problem. It's the problem of the redevelopment of Meiji Jingu area. And there has been a lot of episodes in this saga until recently, but the new one is the fact that the ICOMOS committee is strongly against this project. And before them, a lot of people already had opposed this redevelopment project. Of course, Ryuichi Sakamoto, Haruki Murakami, but still there's no move from the Tokyo government. So once again, ICOMOS committee people will explain their position regarding this Meiji Jingu Gaien. So we have three speakers today. And they will have a short presentation before the question-answer session. First speaker is Yasuyoshi Okada, who is the president of the Japan National Commission for the International Council on Monuments and Sites, which is ICOMOS. The second speaker today is Mikiko Ishikawa, also a director of ICOMOS. And the third speaker is a member of the House of Representatives of the Liberal Democrat Party, is Mr. Hajime Funada. So, because we have not a lot of time, I will give the floor immediately to Mr. Okada. But just before, let me tell you that our interpreter today is Yoriko Konuma. Please, Mr. Okada, the floor is yours.
皆さんこんにちは。日本イコモスの岡田と申します。
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Okada from the Japan National Commission for ICOMOS.
日本語で失礼いたします。まずイコモスという組織について簡単にお話しいたします。イコモスという名前は皆さん世界遺産の登録とか審査のプロセスでよくお耳にされることかと思います。
Now, excuse me for speaking in Japanese, but allow me to speak briefly about ICOMOS. I believe that ICOMOS is a familiar name to you in terms of the screening process and also the registration of the International World Heritage Sites.
ただ、イコモスというのは世界遺産条約ができる10年も前に設立されておりまして、 本来、世界中のあらゆる文化的な資産の保護に活動する組織です。
But as a matter of fact, ICOMOS has been established before the World Heritage Convention has been put in place, and therefore its purpose is to try to conserve cultural heritages around the world.
会員は世界中に1万人余りおりまして、その中で日本には500人、約500名の個人会員がおります。その500人ほどを束ねているのが日本イコモス、イコモスジャパンと呼んでますが、という私たちの組織になります。
And as a matter of fact, worldwide, we have a membership of about 10,000, of which here in Japan, we have about 500 individual members. And it is ICOMOS Japan, which is responsible for coordinating these members in Japan.
そしてイコモスという組織には約30ほどのですね、いろんな専門分野、今日これからご紹介いたします環境や景観という問題を扱う委員会、それから私が属しているのは土の建築というふうな分野の委員会ですが、そういう専門分野が30余りありまして、そこで世界中の文化遺産のテーマを扱っているというわけです。
And as a matter of fact, the ICOMOS organization, under this umbrella, there are some 30 specialized committees that have been established. For example, the committee which looks into the environment and also landscaping. I myself am a member of the committee which looks into the land and architecture. And therefore, ICOMOS under these committees are looking into various themes related to world cultural heritage.
そして、世界遺産の方には危機遺産というリストを作って、世界遺産に登録されているものに関してはその危機を訴えるというシステムがありますけれども、それはあくまでも世界遺産に登録されているものに限るわけで、そこから外れているものに関してはこれはもうイコモスの専権事項のようなことになります。
And therefore, well, under this World Heritage system, there is a list of the heritage sites which are at risk of facing crisis. And so if the site or heritage is registered as a World Heritage site, it is handled under this listing. But if not, then it is the responsibility of ICOMOS to look into these cases.
今回の神宮外苑の危機的な状況も決して世界遺産に登録されているわけではありませんので、私どもイコモスとしてですね、警鐘を鳴らすということになりました。
And the Jingu Gaien, which is the theme of today, is facing a crisis, but this Jingu Gaien is not registered as a World Heritage site, and therefore we at ICOMOS have issued this alert.
なぜそういうふうなことになったのか、その経緯についてはこの後お隣の石川先生の方から詳しく説明していただきますので、ごゆっくりお聞きいただきたいと思います。
And as for the series of incidents that have led to this situation, Dr. Ishikawa next to me will be giving you the details.
一つ申し忘れましたが、そのヘリテージアラートの、宣言といいますか、勧告は今までこの10年余りでですね、そうですね、13年ぐらいになりますか、その間に24イコモスからアラートが発せられています。
I forgot to mention one thing, that is in terms of this heritage alert, this declaration that has been made. Over the past 10 or maybe 13 years, there have been in total 24 heritage alerts issued.
その24番目がこの神宮外苑になるわけですが、今まで多くはですね、現代近代の建築遺産が多くアラートの対象になっていましたが、このように公園空間、それも文化資産として扱う公園空間がアラートの対象になったのはおそらくこれが初めてだったろうと思います。
And this Jingu Gaien Heritage Alert is the 24th alert that has been issued. Looking at the list of past alerts, most of them are related to the heritage of architectures or structures in the contemporary and modern times. And I believe that it is the very first time that such a heritage alert has been issued for a park space, which is deemed as a cultural heritage.
それではこの後石川先生の方から報告をお願いいたします。
And now I'd like to ask Dr. Ishikawa to report. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. So immediately I give the floor to Professor.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm Mikiko Ishikawa, Director of Japan ICOMOS. You have 3 documents. One is press release, September 7th, and second one is letter to Prime Minister or Tokyo Metropolitan Governor, Koike-san. And the third one is a little bit thick. It's a document, the background document, and it's very long, so I give you a very short summary. So let's speak based on, you can see this PowerPoint, and that's the photograph is website. And lady, Professor Balbeck, Elizabeth Balbeck, and she is president of International Scientific Committee of Cultural Landscape. As Professor Okada said, one of the International Scientific Committee. So our committee is working for cultural landscape. It's parks and open spaces and rural landscape, those areas. And I have been a member of this committee more than 30 years, very long, starting from very young, and we have a very close communication. And every month we have a kind of study, time. And from India or Chile or Czechoslovakia, we have worldwide organization. So let me start. Quickly show what's the heritage alert is. So I'd like to explain very clearly. So ICOMOS, together with Japanese National Committee and the International Scientific Committee on Cultural Landscape, issued Heritage Alert, calling for the withdrawal of the Jingu Gaien redevelopment project, including the plan to cut down over 3,000 trees, scheduled to begin in September 2023, right now. This is vital to ensure the preservation and continuity of the core of the Tokyo Garden City Park system in existence since the 17th century. Very old. So please, what's the Garden City Park system? Let me explain a little bit. Tokyo is a garden city with a royal forest at its center. It's Kokyo, adorned by countless gardens and parks which have been nurtured by fountains of small valleys and Tamagawa Josei Canal. Without waterway, it's impossible, to have a greenery space. And this urban structure was formed through layers of history as the base of Tokugawa shoguns from the early 19th century. Since then, you can see this map. This is 1883, and 1923 is great, Kanto earthquake. You can see downtown area is completely destroyed, but this area survived. So, you can see here. Here is the existing, condition of where is Jingu Gaien, and where is Imperial Palace and Akasaka Palace, Shinjuku Gyoen, Inner Naien, Aoyama Lane, and like that. So it's a kind of park system based on the asset of Japanese garden. So I think everybody forget. We have to proud of that. It has been preserved for 100 years. So red one is Jingu Gaien. Only this area is facing immediate threat of redevelopment project. So green area is preserved. So it's very important. I would like to show this map. So this is the existing plan that proposed by developers, and the planned construction of 3 high-rise, super high-rise buildings, and as well as the replacement and relocation of the existing baseball and rugby stadiums with new stadiums will lead the complete destruction of the urban forest that has been formed and nurtured over the past 100 years. As you know, the project, the proponents are Mitsui Fudosan, Meiji Jingu Shrine, and Japan Sports Council, and Itochu Shoji. And Tokyo Metropolitan Government has approved the development plan in the absence of proper dialogue with local citizens and other stakeholders. It's very, very important in the absence of, okay? So, as you know, urban parks are places for people's recreation and also contribute to maintain rich biodiversity. It's very important. They mitigate the heat island this summer, still very hot. So it's mitigate the heat island effect in cities and provide shelter in case of a natural disaster such as major earthquake. It's very important. We have a problem of earthquake. So Jingu Gaien, created through donations and voluntary work of citizens, represents an outstanding cultural heritage, unparalleled in the history of urban parks worldwide. So I gave this presentation and a world member. Nobody hears such a, they don't know any kind of similar park in the world. So very unique, okay? So in light of above, ICOMOS issued Heritage Alert and calls on 5 points. It's very clear. I'm very much admired because Bureau knows how to express their, opinion. 5. So I will quickly show what's the 5 point is. The first is the project proponents, Mitsui Fudosan, Meiji Jingu Shrine, Japan Sports Council, and Itochu, to immediately withdraw the redevelopment project of Jingu Gaien, fulfilling their social and ethical responsibilities as an international corporation, a religious association, and a fair and honest promoter of sports. That's first point. The second one, to Koike-san, Tokyo Metropolitan Government to review the relevant city planning decisions, recognizing that this decision to remove urban park in favor of the construction of skyscrapers permanently deprive citizens' right to use the park. People can't use this area as a park forever. It's very important. Also, environmental impact assessment carried out for the redevelopment project has fundamental flaws and needs to be re-examined on the basis of scientific methodology. That's what Japan ICOMOS is repeatedly asked, but never, just silenced, never respond. The third one, this is the Meiji Jingu Shrine. The Meiji Jingu Shrine is immediately withdrawn from the project, considering that Jingu Gaien was created thanks to the donations and volunteer labor provided by citizens, on the understanding that the promise to maintain it as a beautiful park for eternity would be fulfilled. It's a message to Meiji Jingu Shrine. The fourth, Minato and Shinjuku and Shibuya wards to work for ensuring that Jingu Gaien is designated as a place of scenic beauty in the interest of future generation, future children, future generation. And it's very important to raise up opinion from basic, Minato-ku or Shinjuku-ku. And the reason why we include Shibuya-ku is Jingu Naien is located in Shibuya. So those three words should be worked together, okay? The fifth one, this is very important. Right now, everybody thinks Jingu Gaien's problem is the problem of Tokyo. But no. You can see this map again, the Imperial Palace and inner moat and outer moat and Akasaka Palace. Those are 宮内庁なんていうのかしら。それから、National Diet, it's Japan nation.
Imperial Agency.
Imperial Agency. And Shinjuku Gyoen, it's supervised by Environmental Ministry. And Yoyogi Park, it's supervised by Tokyo Metropolitan Government. So it's a mixture of not the problem of Tokyo Metropolitan Government, but everybody should work together. And especially this is the core of capital city Tokyo. So the role of national government is very, very important. So the Bureau add this fifth point. So PowerPoint is all finished, but please see this. I gave this one, and you can see the map of plan. This is the plan, alternative plan for future Jingu Gaien, and you can see this graph. So developers offers, the preserved tree is 886, but our plan is 1,080, 1,892 trees will be, it is possible to preserve this number of trees. Only 2 trees will be cut down. So it's a kind of alternative plan. Without alternative, I think, we should have a dream, and we should think about alternative. That's my presentation. Thank you very much.
石川様、どうもありがとうございます。The next speaker is Mr. Funada Hajime, representative of LDP in English. I'm French, so I said it in French, sorry. どうぞ。よろしく。
今ご紹介いただきました衆議院議員船田はじめです。私も英語があまり得意ではありませんので、通訳で失礼いたします。
Thank you for the introduction. I am Funada Hajime. I am a member of the House of Representatives, and excuse me for speaking in Japanese. I'm not proficient in English.
昨年の11月に、私ども、超党派の議員連盟を立ち上げました。名称は神宮外苑の自然と歴史文化を守る議員連盟であります。
And last year in November, we have organized this caucus of Diet members. It is a non-partisan caucus titled Diet Members Caucus for the Protection of Nature, History, and Culture of Jingu Gaien.
メンバーは現在26名でございますが、衆議院と参議院でありますが、 内訳を申し上げますと、自由民主党が7名、それからいわゆる民主党系が13名、維新が2名、それから共産党2名、社民党1名、無所属1名という状況になっています。
Yes, and as for the membership of the caucus, currently we have 26 members from both chambers. And to give you the breakdown, there are 7 LDP members and 13 from the Democratic Party alignment, and 2 from the Japan Innovation Party, 2 from the Japanese Communist Party, 1 from the Social Democratic Party, and 1 independent member.
私たちの活動は昨年来4回ほど総会を開きました。
And from last year, our activities have included 4 general assemblies.
また、この神宮外苑の再開発問題について、慎重にするべきだという、決議をいたしました。
And also we have adopted this resolution which calls for taking a more cautious approach towards this redevelopment issue pertaining to Jingu Gaien.
その決議をもって、文部科学大臣、環境大臣、それから東京都都知事、それから、新宿区並びに港区長に、要請をいたしました。申し入れをいたしました。
And this resolution has been filed with the Minister of Education and Culture, as well as the Minister of the Environment, the Tokyo Metropolitan Government Governor, and the heads of both Shinjuku and Minato wards.
また、文部科学委員会、環境委員会などで、国会での質問をいたしました。
And also during the diet session, we have raised questions at the committee meetings of the Ministry of Education, Culture, Science and Technology, and also the Committee for the Environment.
自由民主党の立場で、私は自由民主党ですが、自由民主党の立場でこのような運動に参加をすることは極めて稀だと思っています。
And I believe that I, being a member of the LDP, it's very rare for DIET members to participate on behalf of the LDP in movements of this sort.
私がこの議員連盟を作り、そして代表になった理由は2つあります。
And the reason why I have inaugurated and represent this caucus are twofolds.
一つは私の東京の住居は南青山4丁目でございまして、この神宮外苑にほど近い場所にあります。
And one of the reasons is because I myself am a resident of Tokyo. I live at Minami Aoyama 4丁目, which is very close to the Jingu Gaien.
しばしば飼い犬の散歩に神宮外苑に伺っておりますが、この自然がどのようになってしまうか、非常に犬とともに心配をしております。
And I sometimes walk my dog in the Jingu Gaien, and I am very worried about what will happen to the nature of Jingu Gaien. I personally, along with my dog, am worried about the future.
もう一つの理由は、私が学生時代に日本の戦前の青年団の活動の研究をしておりました。
And the second reason is because when I was at university, I had been researching the theme of the Japan pre-war period, before the Second World War, the youth league's activities.
その青年団の皆さんが100年前に明治天皇とそのお妃を検証したいということで、全国の青年団が樹木や資金や石を集めて、それを神宮内苑と神宮外苑に設置をする、そういうボランティアの活動をしていたことを知りました。
And through this research, I've come to understand that the youths who belong to this league about 100 years ago decided to dedicate this park to the then Meiji Emperor. And therefore, in the effort to dedicate, they have donated trees, money, and also gathered the stones or rocks to build the area, both the inner garden and the outer garden, being the Naien and Gaien. And therefore, they have worked as volunteers to build this park.
その当時の100年前の若者、青年たちの思いというのを、今回の再開発は果たしてどこまで考慮していただいているのか、考慮していないと私は思っております。
And the redevelopers of the Jingu Gaien, I really wonder to what extent they have given thought to this aspiration of the youths 100 years ago. Have they taken into consideration these thoughts of the youths of the past? I believe not.
もう一つ申し上げたいのは、我々は決してこの再開発計画のすべてがダメだと言っているわけではありません。
And another point I would like to raise here is that we're not denying totally this redevelopment plan per se.
しかしながらこれまでの当局あるいは業者のさまざまな発表をしておりますけれども、あるいは説明会を開いておりますが、十分に情報開示がされたとは思っていません。
But given the presentations that have been given, the explanations that have been given by both the authority as well as operators, the project proponents, I do not believe that there has been sufficient information disclosure.
さらなる情報の開示と、それから紳士的な話し合い、民主主義の下での話し合いを強く求めていきたいと思います。
And I would like to strongly request that more information be disclosed and that they engage in a sincere way and a democratic way in dialogue with the stakeholders.
もう一つは、今回の業者の再開発計画は過剰な開発であると認識をしています。
And another point is that I believe that this redevelopment plan on the part of these project proponents is an excessive development.
具体的に申し上げると、ラグビー場と野球場の入れ替えが行われるという点であります。
To be more specific, they have decided to alternate the position of the rugby and baseball stadiums.
そういった入れ替えを行うために、必要以上に樹木の伐採が行われると認識をしています。
I understand that, therefore, in order to realize this relocation and alternate the position of these two stadiums, they are planning to cut down more than necessary the number of trees.
ラグビー場も野球場も今の場所で改修をする、大規模な改修をするということは決して不可能ではないと思っています。
I believe that the current rugby and baseball stadiums can remain in the current location and be refurbished. I do believe that this is not an impossible task.
野球場の改修で最も最近の良い例は甲子園球場であります。
And a very good example of the successful refurbishment of a baseball stadium recently is the Koshien Stadium.
先日セ・リーグ優勝した阪神球団が使っている状況の中で、また高校野球のメッカとして使っている中で、工夫をして球場を使いながら改修をしたという実績があります。
And they have this track record where Hanshin, which has clinched the Central League Championship, they continue to play at the stadium. And also, Koshien is known for being the venue for the high school baseball tournament. And again, they were able to play the tournament while the refurbishment was ongoing.
最後に、先ほど来岡田委員長、そして石川理事からご説明がありました、イコモスのヘリテージアラートの第5項目目に、国の責任も 指摘をされております。
Now, as has been pointed out by President Okada and Director Ishikawa, ICOMOS, in its alert, has, on the fifth item, talked about the responsibility of the national government.
私たちは国会議員の立場として、関係する国の機関に対して、さらに働きかけを強める必要を痛感をいたしました。
And we believe that we have to further heighten our work and approach towards the national government institutions that are relevant to this project as a DIET member.
ご清聴ありがとうございました。
Thank you for your listening.
Thank you so much, Mr. Funada, for this important opinion and also explanations. So we have not a lot of time, but we have a lot of people in the room. So I will give the floor to one of the journalists in the room. If you have any question, please come to one of the microphones. Give your name and as well as your affiliation. Any question?
はい、ありがとうございます。では質疑応答に移りたいと思います。一人ずつジャーナリストの方々ご質問いただきたいと思います。マイクにいらっしゃっていただき、名前、所属をおっしゃった上でお願いいたします。
西村 freelance. Thank you for the presentation. The proponent of the project includes the Meiji Jingu Shrine, and I believe that the shrines have a problem in the financial difficulty, and so everywhere in Japan, the shrine there is examples that the grounds can be sold to the developer for the financial to solve the financial problem. So, what do you think is the solution of this problem? My question maybe go to Mr. Funada because LDP has a close relationship with shrines. Thank you very much.
はい、そう言います。西村と申します。フリーランスであります。今回の事業者の中には明治神宮が含まれております。で、今現在日本におきますこのような神宮はかなり金銭的な困難を抱えているということでありますので、これは日本共通して認識されていることでありますけれども、ということで、このような事業に加わることによって資金を得るというような、そういった狙いがあるかと思います。ですから、こういった資金的な問題からこの参加をしている。で、これが解決されないと、この問題解消しないのではないかと思われますので、船田先生、明治神宮と、こういった神社との近い関係もあると思いますので、お答えいただければと思います。
ありがとうございます。私は、自分の選挙区での一番大きな神社の責任役員もやっております。そこでもやはり同様に財政難が待ち構えておりまして、これはどこの神社でも同様の状況であると認識はしています。
Thank you for the question. And as a matter of fact, in my constituency, I'm also serving on the board of the largest shrine in my constituency and responsible for the shrine. And therefore, from this experience, I can say that I do know that the shrine is facing financial difficulties. And I think this is true of all the shrines here in Japan.
明治神宮の現在の財政状況についてはつまびらかにはしておりませんが、今回のことでやはり明治神宮の内苑を守るために外苑でお金を稼ぐという構図になっているということは容易に理解されます。
Yes, and when it comes to the Meiji Jingu Shrine, though they have not disclosed clearly the financial situation, it is easy to understand that they are trying to conserve the Naien, the inner garden, by trying to use the outer garden, Gaien, to earn money.
この状況をですね、改善するために、いろんな方法があるとは思いますが、ただ、国のお金、公金を宗教法人に支出をすることは憲法89条が禁止をしているところでありますので、それはできません。
And I believe that to improve this situation, there are various methods that can be adopted. But when it comes to providing public money to such religious associations, this is prohibited under Article 89 of the Japanese Constitution. So this is not an option.
良いアイデアではないかもしれませんが、先日、国立、科学博物館、がですね、いわゆるクラウドファンディングによってその経常費を賄うという方法を使われました。
Yes, and this might not be a very brilliant idea, but still the other day, the National Science Museum used the method of crowdfunding to try to secure the necessary money to run the museum.
これはやってみなきゃ分かりませんが、例えばそういうクラウドファンディングを明治神宮がやっていただいて、我々が積極的に協力をするというのも一つの道ではないかと思います。
And of course, you have to really try to see what would happen, but still, this is one option, crowdfunding, that the Meiji Jingu can try. And we, on our part, should try to actively cooperate with the funding. And this is one path that we can take.
いずれにしても明治神宮の財政が厳しいということは念頭に入れながら、この運動は進めておく必要があると思います。
But at any rate, we need to keep in mind the financial difficulty that Meiji Jingu is facing in carrying out this movement.
追加、はい。
追加で大事な。
はい、どうぞどうぞ。
日本語で。
いいです。
今のご質問というのはもうこの間2年間ぐらい繰り返し内縁のために、外縁をというですね、それしかない。やはりここはしっかり考えなければいけないということで、今簡単にお話しします。どうぞ。
Well, yes, and allow me to speak in Japanese here. And this question has been raised a number of times in the past 2 years, saying that in order to conserve the Naien, we have to try to utilize the Gaien to secure the necessary funding, and that is the only option. But I think that we have to think more carefully about this.
要するにですね、内縁のために外縁を壊してもいいということでありますと、理想が失われるわけですね。片方が生き残れば片方がという。でそうではなくて、やはり本当に困った時は一番大事なのは理想を失わないということだと思うんです。理想を失わないという原則がなくなると、もうどのようにでも転がっていきます。
Because, and in other words, to think that the Naien can be conserved only at the sacrifice of Gaien, this would mean that we are losing and depriving people of the ideal that has been set out. Just to say that one of the two will survive and the other not, this is truly a loss of the ideals that have been set out. And once we deny and lose these ideals, anything could happen.
はい、で簡単に話しますと、50年ほど前に非常に大きな問題が起こりました。鎌倉です。鎌倉のですね、県庁地とかいろいろございますね、古都鎌倉。この後ろにですね、宅地開発の波が迫って、幼木二郎さんですね、当時は文化人、今村上春樹さんとかですね、坂本龍一さんが声を上げていらっしゃいますが、同じように反対運動が起こりました。で彼らは何をしたかというとですね、トラスト運動というのでですね、お金を出し合って八幡下の鶴岡八幡宮の裏山の開発されている土地を買ったわけです。
Now, let me give a brief example of 50 years ago. A big issue occurred in terms of Kamakura. And you know that Kamakura is the an old capital of Japan. And also the capital of the prefecture is located near. And they had this housing development project that was planned for the area. And in those days, well, this time for this movement, there is Murakami Haruki, Sakamoto Ryuichi who have stood up. And these figures, so similarly, back then, these cultural figures stood up to oppose this movement. And what they did was to start a trust movement, trying to collect money from others so as to stop and protect this mountain area, which is in the back of Tsuruoka Hajimangu.
すみません、簡単に話します。しかし、 鎌倉の古の森というのはたくさんありますので、トラストでほんのちょっとの山を買ってもどうにもならない。そこで立ち上がったのが、要するに国会議員の皆様で、議員立法でですね、古法と言いますけれども、新しい法律ですね、鎌倉の古を守るための法律を作って、それが現在の都市緑地保全法につながってまいりますけれども、そこでですね、財源を国と県と行政がですね、市が負担して、で危機に瀕するところの土地を買ったり、それからその維持費用を捻出したり、それが現在のいわゆる日本の緑地保全のですね、基本になっています。
And they used the money to purchase the mountain in the back of the shrine, but that alone was not sufficient to try to protect the area. Just collecting money through this trust to protect this old capital is not enough. And therefore, it was the Diet members who stood up, and there was the legislation which was proposed by lawmakers, which were put to the Diet, and through this movement, a new law was put into place. This has led to the Green Area Protection Law that we see today. So it was a case in which the national government, as well as the prefectural government and other authorities tried to split the burden so as to purchase the necessary land and to maintain the area. And so this was an example of how they managed to conserve the green area.
で簡単に、今の非常に不思議なのはですね、明治神宮はきちんとですね、これだけ足りないんだよと、財政状況は何も資料ないですから、なんとなく困ってるんじゃないかなというくらいしか私たちは分からないわけです。でしかも不思議なのは、行政に全然相談しない。つまりあれだけの森がですね、特別緑地保全地区に当然なってなければいけない。なってない。一本の樹木も保存樹木として、要するに所有者が手を挙げなければ指定できないですから、信じられないことですよ。あれだけ木があるのに指定されてないから、要するに明治神宮の意向で全部切ることができる。これはやはり法の下の法の秩序に目をつぶっているとしか言いようがありません。ですから財政状況を明確にするさまざまな法律があるわけですから、どのような法律が可能か、そしてそれがなければですね、もう時代は変わってます。ヒートアイランドとか地球環境とか生物多様性とか、それはそれの費用を明治神宮の森に支払ってもいいわけです、社会が。ですからそういうオープンな議論が全くゼロのままに、お金がないから大変だな、こんな同情論っていうのは通用しないです。要するにどれだけお金がないのか分かんないのかですから。ですから正々堂々とフェアな議論を法の下にでやらなければいけないというのがこのイコモスの主張です。
So, I believe that it is difficult to understand what Meiji Jingu is saying, because they do not disclose their financial situation. And so we do not know how much money is short of trying to stop this redevelopment plan. We just have a idea, we imagine that they are financially troubled. And Meiji Jingu does not, for some reason, consult the administrators. Given the scale of the forest that we are talking about, it's only natural that this area be designated as a special green area conservation area. But not a single tree in the forest has been protected under the law because the owner, Meiji Jingu Shrine, does not ask for such designation, and therefore they allowed, if Meiji Jingu allows, all the trees can be cut down because of this lack of conservation. But there are the laws to conserve the natural environment. Also, there is the rule of law, order of law, and therefore I think it is necessary for Meiji Jingu to first of all disclose the financial financial situation. And there are various laws in place that can be applied so as to conserve the area. And also the times have changed from the past. Currently, we have the heat island phenomena, and there is also the global warming and biodiversity loss issue. And therefore, the community, society should be providing Meiji Jingu with the necessary money to try to conserve the area. But for this, there needs to be an open discussion that takes place for this to happen. But so far, nothing like that has happened. And therefore, I believe that just asking sympathy and calling on people that this is the situation is not enough. We have to have a full-fledged discussion on what needs to be done. And I believe that this should be done under the law. And this is what ICOMOS is appealing for.
Next question. どうぞ。
I'm Maria Yamaguchi from the Associated Press. AP 通信の山口と申します。よろしくお願いします。2つ質問がありまして、1つ目は今のことに少し関係があるのですが、船田先生にお聞きしたらよろしいのでしょうか。議員の連盟の皆様で今後その実際に国への関与国の関与をこれ強めるということで、具体的にどのような次の一手としてございますでしょうか。例えば今石川先生がおっしゃったような議員立法ですとか、明治神宮にその財政をつまびらかにして例えば勝手に気が切れないようなことができるのかということが一つ。それからもう一つは石川先生、岡田先生にお伺いすればよいかと思うんですが、最近この再開発というのはここだけではなく東京中であるいは日本全国で増えております。でそれが例えばここ今みんな注目しておかしいと思うことが行われているわけですが、他にもこのようなことはないのか、イコモスとして例えば問題視されているような課題がありましたら教えていただけるでしょうか。よろしくお願いします。
Yes, and I have two questions. First is related to the previous question, I believe, and I should be asking this question, I believe, to the Honorable Mr. Funada. But the caucus that you have established, you are saying that you want to demand the central government to be more engaged and involved with this issue. But what are the specific steps going forward? Do you have any specific ideas as to what should happen next? Just for example, as Dr. Ishikawa has pointed out, could the legislators raise bills, proposals for bills to be deliberated in the Diet? Is it possible to get Meiji Jingu to disclose their financial situation and prevent Meiji Jingu from cutting down any trees on their own? Are there any such possibilities? That's the first question. The second question probably is appropriate for Dr. Ishikawa and Dr. Okada to respond, but recently there are a number of redevelopment projects ongoing, not just this Jingu Gaien, but also in Tokyo as well as nationwide. I think there's an increase in such redevelopment projects. And this case is drawing a lot of attention, but there are other cases, I believe, where there are such projects are also ongoing which have to be questioned. And therefore, are there any such cases? And does ICOMOS see any specific areas that they regard as a problem?
まず私からお答えしますと、先ほどのイコモスの第5項目、国の関与を強めるべきであるということに関して、我々もこれに従った活動をしていきたいと思っています。
Well, let me answer first. Yes, in regards to what should be done, as is stated under number 5 of the Heritage Alert of ICOMOS, the national government of Japan should be intervening into this and not consider this as a problem of Tokyo only.
具体的には、先ほど石川先生ご指摘のようないわゆること法、それから都市 緑地保存法、このありの法律をこの神宮外苑の緑にも適用できるかどうかについて、文科省や環境省に強く働きかけをするということがあると思います。
And first, to be more specific, as Dr. Ishikawa has already pointed out, there are such laws in Japan already. For example, the law to conserve ancient capitals, and also a law to conserve the urban greenery. And therefore, we should look into the possibility of applying these laws to Jingu Gaien. And we should be taking this to the ministries, relevant ministries, the Ministry of Education, Culture, Science, and Technology, as well as the Ministry of the Environment.
またその緑の中でも、特に価値の高い、イチョウ並木を守るために、従来から名称指定ができないかということで、文化庁に対して、研究をしろということを言っておりますが、やはりこれは、所有者である、明治神宮が、了解をしないと名称にはならないということで、なかなか厳しい状況であります。
And also, I believe that another thing that should be considered is especially the Ginkgo promenade. This is an area which should be designated as a place of scenic beauty. But I believe that the Agency for Cultural Affairs should be examining this possibility. However, unless the owner, which is Meiji Jingu, gives consent, this will not happen.
もう一つが、JSC、日本スポーツ振興協会、これは文科省の外郭団体であります。この JSC というのが、秩父宮ラグビー場とそれから国立競技場を、所有し運営をしております。ですから文科省からこの JSC に対して先ほど私が申し上げたような場所を転換をするとか、そういう過剰な、投資というんでしょうか、過剰な活をやめるべきであるということを働きかけてもらうように、文科省に働きかけることなどが考えられます。
And another thing that could be considered is, given the fact that one of the project proponents is JSC, Japan Sports Council, and this is an affiliated organization body to the Agency for Cultural Affairs, and therefore, and they are the owners of the Chichibunomiya Rugby Stadium as well as the National Baseball Stadium, and therefore it should be that the Ministry of Education, Science and Culture approach and ask JSC to refrain from excessive development or excessive investment, like switching the location of the rugby and baseball stadium. So I think that we should be also approaching the Ministry of Education to try to stop this excessive development.
Thanks so much. Another question from the floor, please.
One more.
Excuse me. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. I
Yeah.
have to answer.
Okay. Sorry.
要するに外苑のようなですね、そういうプロジェクトがもう目白押しです。大変です。ですから外苑がこれで風地区もですね、高さ緩和で木もごめんなさい、勝手に切られるわけですよね、今回。でこれでなんか防波堤のようなものが決壊すると、もう日本の特に都心ですね、地価が高いところ、それはすいません、太政官2つというですね、明治の初めのですね、例えば芝公園とか、あれも同じく三井不動産です。はい。
Yes, and to respond to your second question, the fact it is true that there are a large number of projects similar to the Gaien project, which are being considered here in especially the Tokyo area, the metropolitan area, trying to build high-rise buildings. In this case, they have mitigated, eased the restrictions on the height of the building, and also they are going to try to cut down on their own a large number of trees. And And if we should allow this to happen, it would be like the dike or a dam collapsing, and things will start to flood out from there. And to give an example of the Shiba Koen Park, this is back in the beginning of the Meiji period. Again, this is Mitsui Fudosan.
ちょっと最後もう一つだけ。これ東京のだけの日本の都市公園は実は太政官2つという明治6年でその時にですね例えば芝公園とか増上寺ですねそれから上野の寛永寺上野公園とかそれからなんか高岡の高岡城址とかとにかく全国の日本の大都市の象徴となる公園はほとんどこの太政官2つ明治6年のでできています。作られました。要するに そこで明治の方は偉いですね。ちゃんと公園を守ったわけです。でそこが一番地価が高いですね。ど真ん中ですから。ですから規制緩和でそこに建てられる都市公園を削除して外苑と同じような手法を適用すれば労働をしなくても額に汗をしてせっせと働かなくても莫大なお金が要するに利益が労力なしに法律を変わるだけでできるわけです。ですから外苑はいわば本当にここで守らないと皆さんのいろんなふるさと大事な日本の大都市粉々になるという危機感を私は持っております。
Thinking about Japan today, especially the urban areas, there are a large number of parks, and they were all built up until about the 6th year of the Meiji period, like Shibakoen, Zojoji, and also the parks in Ueno, etc. And I think that there are similar examples nationwide, and the fact that these parks are very symbolic, scenic spots within the large urban areas in Japan. And I'm very proud and impressed that our ancestors in the Meiji period were able to build such parks at an early timing after the start of the Meiji period, and they tried to preserve these parks. Now, these days, the land price of these parks have become very high, and just by mitigating or relaxing the regulations of these areas, they can try to develop these parks into other buildings. So people, the developers, without working hard, can earn a fortune by just having the regulations relaxed and changing the land into other structures. And if we were to allow this sort of thing to happen at Gaien, then I think we will not be able to protect the other parks in the large urban areas. I think that the city parks and the system will break down. This is a sense of crisis that I have.
It will be the last question because we have. So I have to choose between working press. Are you press? Yeah, if you're press, because are you member? Yes, yeah. Okay. Okay. Those. No, because I have other journalists.
じゃあ最後の質問になります。時間がなくなりましたので。
Thank you very much for a very, very informative press conference. Many things you said reminded me. Oh, sorry, Mary Corbett, Kressner Media. Many of the items reminded me of other research that I did, sort of related, as recently as the development for the Tokyo Olympics. So all the stadiums and things being built in the late 50s. There were landowners' families that came who were opposed. Their ancestors were opposed to the initial building of the shrines, but they were forcibly removed, and many of them received no compensation. And this came up again in the 1950s. And of course, I think you might know that there was a huge American residential base there, the Washington Heights. Mm-hmm. America desperately wanted Japan to get the Olympics, so they moved. Okay, they basically closed shop and moved out of the Washington Heights. So many of these things, I think there's enough there to, for example, if not crowdfunding, shouldn't there be some rights over the years? They're not just volunteers. these are people who were forcibly removed from these sites. And if they have a legal case at all after all these years, or even if they didn't, is there room for a citizen's lawsuit to stop this process?
はい、すみません、メリー・コルピットと申します。ありがとうございます。大変情報豊かな会見だと思います。今おっしゃっていた内容を伺っていて、以前私が関係する、ある研究調査を行ったことを思い出しました。で、これは例えば、東京オリンピックのスタジアム、1950年代の話、なども思い出したんですけれども、当時、土地所有者また家族は、この建設に対して非常に強く反対をいたしました。もっと遡りますと、神社が建てられるそういう事態に対して反対をしたという経緯があるんですけれども、最終的にはこの反対運動をした人たちも強制的に立ち退きをしなくてはならなくなった。しかもそれに対する対価も払われずに強制退去をさせられてしまったということがあります。もう一つ、アメリカ人の居住地でありますワシントンハイツにおいても彼らはこのように強制的に撤去移転しなくてはいけなくなったということでありますので、こういった過去の例から考えて、このように強制的に移転させられた、退去させられた人々、これボランティアではないですよ。彼ら今お話しているのはボランティアの話ではなく、もともと住んでいた住民がこのように退去させられたというこの人たちが今立ち上がって訴訟を起こすことによって何らかの対策にならないのかという、この訴訟を一つの手段として考えることはいかがでしょう。
今住民の方が訴訟を起こしていらっしゃるという事実はございます。
Well, first of all, at the present, there are no lawsuits being filed by the residents.
ごめんなさい、追加しました。新国立競技場が建てられます時にですね、霞ヶ丘アパートという隣にありまして、そこの方が要するに公園を減らしたので、その時はですね、公園を追加するためにアパートの住民の方が、移住させられたわけです。で、その方が、訴訟団のメンバーのかなり主要なメンバーになっていらっしゃいます。それですいません、一つだけ追加したいのは、国立競技場を作るときにはやはり公園を減らしたからアパートの皆さん移っていただいて公園を追加したわけです。つまり減らないように、増えるというよりは同じ数字になるように行政はやったわけです。今回皆さん考えられないです。3.4 ヘクタール削減して追加なしですよ。ですからこれは東京の今までの減らしたら少なくても増やせなくても同じ面積を確保する。今回は 3.4 ヘクタール削除してそのままです。知らない。これは東京都市計画100年の歴史の中で初めての異常事態だというふうに思います。
Well, yes, and to add to that, talking about the National Stadium case, there was an apartment nearby, and the residents of the apartment had to give up their houses because the National Stadium project had reduced the amount of park area, and the Tokyo government thought that there was a need to try to look for an alternative to add some more park area in a different location, so that in total the park area can be maintained. And so the residents of the apartment were forced to leave their apartment, and there was a litigation case that was brought up against this, and the former residents were the major litigants of this case. And to add to that, so talking about the National Stadium, because at that time in the 50s, the park area was reduced, people in the apartment house were forced to move out so as to establish additional park area. So it's a plus and minus, and because they were seeing that the park area be reduced, they tried to compensate it by having a different location become a park. And so they did not increase the park area, but it remained the same as a result of this movement. But in this case, it's unthinkable. They're going to reduce as much as 3.4 hectares of park area, and they're not thinking of adding any park area in another place to compensate for the loss of the park area. there. And so Tokyo government is not trying to compensate, but instead they are saying that they do not know, they are not going to do anything about this. And I think that is the first time in the 100-year history of urban planning in Tokyo that such a thing has happened. So this is really, truly an irregular case.
Well, I'm sorry because time is already over, but maybe Mrs. Ishikawa or Mr. Okada can stay a little bit more to ask an individual question, but I have to close this press conference. Sorry for the remaining question. I guess we will have other occasion to talk about this Meiji Jingu problem. Thanks very much, everybody. Thanks for the translation, and see you for the next press conference.
すいません、時間切れとなってしまいました。残りの方々、個別にお願いできればと思います。今日は本当にありがとうございました。
ありがとうございました。一人でいます。はい、申し訳抜けます。申し訳ございません。ありがとうございます。じゃあ、ありがとうございました。力強い。ありがとうございます。